So my conversations will come right here. Hello, everyone. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Thank you guys for tuning in to the webinar. I'm excited that you guys are here. This is our first webinar for the Capture Meetup group. And this webinar is for enhancing your website portfolio. I am Nicole Tyler, your host. If you are a freelance photographer, this is the place for you. If you are thinking about your online presence, this webinar is for you. Now, I'm going to talk about your portfolio, not going to go into technical details on how to code HTML or set up a web server, but instead this webinar will be about planning what content that you're going to show online and how to display your business services on the web in a way that makes visitors trust you more. And so it's important that you find out, first of all, what your visitors need to know so that when they visit your page, they can quickly navigate around your website and find the information that they need. And that will make them more likely to do business with you. So I've spent a few years through trial and error, setting up my website, taking it down, and finding out what makes people trust the company enough to do business with them. So in this webinar, I'll share some do's and don'ts with you guys. And while we're doing that, we're going to go ahead and get started. The information will be coming from a few different websites from new photographers and experienced photographers. We're actually going to show 3 different photographers. Thank you guys in the meetup group that have submitted your website for viewing. So first, we're going to go into Rob Williams. So I'm going to go from new to more experienced photographers, and we're going to click around the page so that you guys can see what it is that I'm seeing. One second, let me just switch this over. The green. Please hold. All right. Start screen share. Thank you guys for your patience. Do you have that over there? Okay, so first what we're going to take a look at is Rob Williams. Rob is a part of the meetup group, and he kindly submitted his website for review. And what we have here is his portfolio. So I've typed in his website, and this is the first thing that I see, just a slideshow, which works out really well. I am not a huge fan of this background, though. It looks a little bit dated, and the colors sometimes can clash. Now, with websites and colors, the theme you want to select would be based on your brand. So if you don't know what your brand is, or if you haven't established a brand as of yet, you want to go ahead and start thinking about who you are as a business and how you want to represent yourself. So make sure you're choosing the correct colors in order to do that. Now, some of the photos here are about children, some are adults, some are flowers, some are, just all over the place. So whenever you have a slideshow, you want your images to flow cohesively. So if you're going to show portraits in a slideshow, only show the portraits. And this image here does not look like a professional photo, so I would automatically take that one out. I know sometimes people want to put in any image just to say they have images on their website, but you don't want one little small image to be the first one that pops up and then your potential client leaves your website based on that. So let's take a look around his website as well at the portrait section. Okay, I'm biased because I'm a portrait photographer, so I want to see what your portraits look like. And anyone who typically is going to be viewing your website on a regular basis may be looking for a portrait photographer, whether it's for weddings or couples or children, they want portraits done. So right away, I see that you have a lot of images here. Again, make sure you are organizing your images in a way that makes sense. So if you're going to have glamour shots, put all of those together and then maybe have a teenager transitioning into your children's photos. But you definitely don't want this image here that looks kind of seductive right next to a little boy who looks very innocent and kind. So just make sure your images flow and they make sense. Let's go over here to the contact section. All right, this is great. You have your email address and your telephone number. I definitely know about not wanting to put your telephone number up on the website because you get random phone calls, hang-ups, telemarketers, but you've got to do it. You've got to have your telephone number up there because some people don't like email. Some people are older. They find that they don't check their email a lot. And so if you want all of your potential customers to be able to contact you, put both sets of information up there. Let's take a look over here at your product photography. Now this looks like a nice cohesive set of work right here. Everything that you have going on looks good as far as the style. It looks like one photographer shot it. It's clean, great quality work. Great lighting. This looks like this could actually be your specialty. So I'm going to encourage you to be a product photographer because it seems as if you're really good at this. I know sometimes people want to shoot weddings or they want to do wherever the money is, but you have to find what you're good at and stick with that, build it up, focus on one thing at a time, and then maybe move on to something else after a few years or something like that. Very nice work. I did notice one thing here. This is not really an image critique, but whenever you're shooting product photography, you want to make sure that you polish your products very nicely and get any dust out of the shot because your camera will pick it all up. So make sure you are careful of that. Use products that are new and clean. And that's all I have to say about that. Oh, one other thing. This here, you want to make sure if your image has a name come up on it, you want to make sure that you label it something or get rid of it altogether. You don't want your client or potential client seeing the image number below your photographs. So be careful of that. That sometimes gets snuck in there through Wix. I know because I use Wix. And so you just got to be careful. This is a really good place to put your information. I like that you have a photograph of yourself here. That definitely makes people trust you a little bit more, but people also see whatever image of yourself you have there as what type of photograph you're going to provide. So if you want people to trust you as a photographer and make themselves feel that they can trust you with their vision, you want to have a great photo of yourself. I'm not saying that this is this is not a great photo, but it's not a wow, that, I want a shot like that. So just be careful of which image you use on your site. And let's click over here. Before and after photos of restorations. So you've got a lot going on here, Rob, with what you provide. I would say minimize portraits, go with your product photography, and then maybe on your about page or frequently asked questions page, you can put the fact that you do restorations and things of that nature. And I would take this image out. It's a little deep for a portrait photographer site. I may be looking to celebrate my birthday, but now I see this and maybe I want to cry. So go ahead and take these down, keep these up. You only need a few to show that you can actually do the work, and it looks really good. All right. So next we have Rohit Kamboj. I apologize if I am not saying your name correctly. Here we have the opening page with your logo here. Now, this kind of gets lost in here. It's really small on the page, and some people may think that it's unnecessary. Some people may think that it is necessary. And I've been through your website before the webinar, and I've noticed that you're more of a fine art, I guess, with your landscapes and your street photography. So you may not want someone to come in and snatch your photo from off of the website. But I would say either make it bigger so that it says, hey, this is who I am, or make it more transparent and off down to the side somewhere where it doesn't get lost and it doesn't distract from the photos. But that's a good question that people toil about. Should I put my logo on the website? Should I watermark my images? And if you're selling them, for sure, definitely go ahead and throw something on there, whether it's a text that says off to the side, hey, this is my image, or some kind of transparent void or something like that through the image that says, hey, you can't take this, this is mine. I don't put my logo on my images because I want people to come to my site and say, hey, that's the shot that I want, and I don't want any distractions. Now, there is a way to search to see if your image is being used online through reverse Google search with photos. So that's why I don't worry about it. And I'm also not technically selling my images such as someone who's doing shots like this. So let's go ahead and take a look at what he has here. Let's go to the travel section. Great photographs, nice layout. It looks cohesive. It appears as if one photographer has done these images, and you've got great color and a nice layout here. I like this banner here, what you've done with your travel section. I think this should say travel a little bit bigger, because just as fast as I'm on the page, I've forgotten where I am in your portfolio. Just make it a little bit bigger, maybe in this section here. Personal preference. You may like it small so that it's not taking up too much space. Let's check out city and architecture. So right away, I recognize a few photos from your beginning slideshow, and that's okay, but you don't want to get too redundant with the images, because on average, people spend about 1 to 2 minutes on a website, and that 2 minutes is really long. Actually, it's about 20 seconds. So if you've got to click from one page to another, maybe they'll look at 2 of your categories here. You definitely want to minimize how many categories you have going on, and also ask yourself why you're putting them on the site. Are you selling these images, or are you just saying, hey, I'm a great photographer, come look at my stuff? You want things to be there for a purpose. Gadget bag, that may be cool for someone who's teaching photography, but I don't think this is a necessary section if you're just a everyday photographer who wants to sell their images. I don't know, maybe you're giving away too much information. But this is really cool. I know some people will upload these, they'll embed links onto their website, and they will sell things or get a discount based on clicking on links. Maybe choose a different page, an about page. Let's check out your contact section. Now on this page, there is not a photograph of yourself. That is, I toiled myself with putting my photograph on my website because I didn't want people to assume anything about me. But at the end of the day, when I go onto a website where photography is kind of an intimate service, especially if you're doing portraits, I want to know who I'm going to be working with, because a lot of times I'm going to book online. I'm not going to call you, so I don't get a chance to hear your voice or hear how genuine you are. So at least give me a photograph so that I can connect with you in one way or another. Just make me feel comfortable a little bit so I don't feel like I'm getting involved with a super duper crazy person. Some people just want to see what you look like before they work with you. Also, I don't see your email address here. A lot of times when people connect with you, I hate filling out these things because I feel it's a conspiracy. People are going to take my email address and, send me all this spam mail. But we know that that's not true, but I would never fill out one of these. I would just go to another photographer's website and then find someone who I can contact directly, whether it's email or telephone. So you may want to consider putting that up on your website just to make your life a lot easier and get people to contact you a little bit more. Now, if you're super busy, you're always shooting all day long, you don't have time for phone calls or emails, you should get an assistant and have them answer your phone calls and take questions through email. Guest book. No one ever writes in the guest book. I'm just gonna go ahead and say you should take this down. It's not really necessary. If you want to add a comment section or reviews, that's even, oh, you've got reviews here. But yeah, take the guest book section down. And if you have a blog, if you just started your blog, you should go ahead and post something on it. It's really hard, I know, to be consistent with your blogs, because I have a blog and I know. I also have a YouTube channel. As you can see, we're here on YouTube. You want to make sure you keep this stuff active and up to date, because again, number one, you don't have a photo on your page. And then number two, you don't have any blogs. Websites come and go. Some people build websites and then leave them, and you never know if the person is deceased, if they're still a photographer, if they still live in this state. So just keeping your website and your blog up to date lets people know that, hey, yes, I'm here for business, and how can I help you? I hope that was helpful. Okay, all righty. And last but not least, did we check your about page? Oh, there's your photograph. I'm sorry, I went on this huge long rant about not having a photograph. And here it is, behind the lens. Here we have the photographer here. And again, be careful of which image you put up there. Make sure your lighting is great. Make sure the lens choice is amazing for portraits. And make sure you get a photographer to shoot you in the light that you want to be shot in. Not the light as far as, the actual light, but the vision for your brand. You want to make sure those two connect. Okay. I think the lens choice here was not appropriate for how close you are to the camera. And also you could blur the background a little bit. It almost looks like you took this photograph yourself, maybe with the remote trigger or the self timer. So be careful of that. All right. We're going to move on to one more website. And this is S. Newman Photo. Now here, I've typed in the website and this is what comes up first. As a customer, I'm always upset when I see this as a landing page because, of course, I would like to enter your site. That's why I came here. And now I have to do one extra click and wait 2 more seconds to load your page in order to see your work. So I would get rid of this altogether and have maybe a welcome page with some of your work on the front page. So we're going to go ahead and enter here. All right, so we're on the home page and we've got great work, obviously, from the get-go, and I like that. So we can see that this person does weddings and their work is really cool. Whenever you're going to set up your portfolio, you have to plan what type of shots you're going to put on your website if you don't have actual client work to put on the website. So you're gonna plan these concepts, more or less. Get some wardrobe, get your models, and then scout some locations and get some props in there too as well, so that your work looks like it's real work and not staged work, okay? And not just on the fly. We call that drive-by shootings, when you're at a party and you just whip out your point and shoot camera, and now this is a portrait on your portfolio. Don't do that. Make sure everything looks professional. That's a really nice photograph. Now, again, I am biased to showing one picture on the site because people, again, spend roughly 1 minute on your website. So the more photos that you can see at a time, the better, okay? And I like that you've chosen different names versus portraits, and that's good. You've got your logo here off to the side. This is a great layout for the most part. And let's check out stills, theater, film, behind the scenes. This is really cool, but I don't know why you would put this on the website. Thinking, of course, as a consumer, unless you know for sure that you are going to be a theater photographer and you want theater companies to contact you to shoot behind the scenes, then put that up here. Otherwise, I would take this down. Don't just put things on your website to fill the website. That's not really necessary. So let me get into a little bit of detail on how to organize your portfolio. You want to basically have images, like I said before, that flow together. If you're going to be doing headshots, have all of your headshots in a headshot section, and maybe have one person looking to the left, the next person looking to the right, next person be a male, person after that be a female. Mix it up in a way so that it doesn't look redundant, but it also doesn't look too stale. Okay, let's go into her food section. And right away, I'm seeing that her images are very large because they're taking a little while to load onto the page. Typically, you want your resolution to be no more than 150, okay? My website, I like to show my images really big on the site so that people can zoom in if they'd like, or see that there is actual quality and skin texture on the photos. I don't blur away the skin when I do my frequency separation. So I like to show that people are getting high quality retouching. You can make the images about 5x7 at 150 and then resize them larger or smaller. And that will help your page to load faster and thus waste less time for people. Okay. Along with your brand, you want to select a font. So if you don't know anything about branding, there are plenty of websites you can Google. There are videos on YouTube you can Google about branding. Lynda.com has amazing structured learning courses on branding, and I've checked out Lynda.com and found a few different videos that I like as far as branding goes. And I'm sorry, I don't have the actual names of the instructors, but you can check them out and just kind of search yourself. Now, the qualities of a great image, I'm sorry if I'm jumping around a little bit, but I took some questions from when you guys signed up for the webinar. And now I want to talk a little bit about the qualities of a great image. Now, great images, if you're going to be posing people, are connection in the eyes. Let me show you some portraits while I talk about this so that the page doesn't just sit there. Here we have thumbnails. Let's show this. So great connection with your client, as you can see here. Great lighting, that's number one. If you can't see your subject, then the photo is trashed immediately. So you want to make sure you have great lighting. No pop-up flash, please, 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 please. If you're going to be using flash, or if you need to use flash, bounce the flash, learn how to use an external flash, and make sure that you are presenting professional work. All right, posing is one thing, lighting is another thing, and then your composition. So we see here, this is super cool. This isn't something that you've ever seen before. Well, you may have seen it before, but you don't typically see it. Let's say that we've got a couple really small within this nice uniform background here. Everything looks fairly clean, even though, of course, there's leaves on the ground and rocks and things of that nature, but there's no trash and there's no random bush over here that's dead. So you want to make sure that everything looks cohesive in your composition. The lighting overall is good. And that is just a few things that we can do to have great images. Focus on your lighting. If you don't know anything about lighting, of course, you can Google lighting. Take a class. Showcase. The Showcase School has amazing classes on natural light photography and also composition, other things. I promise you this is not a plug for Showcase School, even though I teach there. I just know that sometimes you don't want to go back to school. You can't afford SCAD or Gwinnett Tech. It's too far. So give yourself some education. Don't go to YouTube University throughout your whole photography career. Go ahead and get some real coursework under your belt and learn photography. All right, so if we have any questions, we can take them now. Let's see, 1 second here. No questions? Okay. Well, if there aren't any questions, I'll give you guys a few seconds to think of a question if you have one. Nothing? Okay. Thank you guys for tuning in. If you have any further questions, feel free to shoot me an email a message through Meetup. Thank you guys for tuning in. I had a lot of fun, and see you on the next Meetup.